Do you really think success is random? Do you really believe that some people just get lucky while you're left waiting in the dark? If you've been clinging to that belief, here's the brutal truth: results are never random. They are coded. The problem is not that success skips you, it's that you haven't installed the core code of discipline. Until you do, you'll keep drifting. Until you do, your results will look chaotic, inconsistent, unpredictable. But once you install the code, results become inevitable. Why people think results are random? Look around. Most people live in chaos. They wake up at different times every day, depending on mood. They work hard one week, slack off the next. They get excited about a new idea, then abandon it halfway. From the outside, their results look random. And to them, life feels unfair. Why did he succeed and I didn't? Why does she grow while I stay stuck? But if you zoom in, you'll see the truth. Those who succeed aren't relying on randomness, they're relying on code. The core code of discipline. The winners follow a different pattern. They wake up at the same time every morning, even when tired. They execute their daily non-negotiables, even when uninspired. They repeat the same disciplined actions until they harden into unbreakable habits. This is the core code, discipline installed so deeply that results cannot help but appear. Napoleon Hill said it plainly. Self-discipline is the master key to riches. Not chance. Not timing. Not luck. Discipline. Why randomness is an illusion. The truth is, what looks like randomness is just invisible discipline at work. The author who seems talented has been writing 500 words daily for 10 years. The athlete who looks gifted has been training through rain, sickness, and exhaustion. The entrepreneur who appears lucky has been executing daily systems that compound quietly. The randomness is an illusion created by ignorance. Once you see the code, you can never unsee it. The 80% versus the 20%. The 80% drift. Their actions are inconsistent, so their results look random. The 20% discipline. Their actions are consistent, so their results look inevitable. That's the line between mediocrity and mastery. Your shift today. Stop blaming luck. Stop waiting for chance. Stop living as if results are out of your control. Instead, embrace discipline as your code. Decide that from this day forward, your life will be ruled not by randomness but by systems. That every action will align with the person you're becoming. That every repetition will lock in results. Because results are not random. They never were. They are the direct output of the core code of discipline. You've been told your whole life that success is about luck. That some people were born in the right place, met the right person, or caught the right opportunity at the right time. And maybe part of you still clings to that belief, because it excuses your drift. It lets you say, "It wasn't my fault. Life just didn't give me the break." But here's the truth, most people confuse discipline with luck because they can't see behind the curtain. The illusion of luck. Think about what you call lucky. The musician who suddenly goes viral, no one saw the 10 years of practice in empty rooms. The entrepreneur who lands a massive deal, no one noticed the years of rejection and cold calls. The athlete who dominates the field, no one counted the thousands of unseen hours of training. What looks like chance is discipline in disguise. The invisible grind that compounds quietly until it explodes publicly. Why the majority stay confused? The 80% live on the surface. They only see the outcome, not the process. They see the promotion, not the years of extra effort. They see the wealth, not the daily choices of discipline. They see the recognition, not the invisible persistence. And because they never connect the dots, they label results random. It's easier to call someone lucky than to admit they outdisciplined you. Napoleon Hill's warning. Hill wrote, "No man is ever whipped until he quits in his own mind." Most people quit in their minds long before results appear. They give up, call others lucky, and excuse themselves from responsibility. They confuse their own lack of discipline with someone else's good fortune. The 20% know the code. The successful minority live by a different truth. They know that if you repeat disciplined actions long enough, results are inevitable. They don't wait for luck, they install habits. They don't chase shortcuts, they trust compounding. They don't call results random, they call them earned. For them, luck isn't the driver. Luck is just the spotlight that eventually shines on those who never stopped executing. The danger of the luck myth. The moment you believe success is luck, you kill your discipline. Why? Because you no longer see your daily actions as decisive. You see them as optional. If results are random, why wake up early? If results are luck, why train when tired? If results are chance, why persist through rejection? The belief in luck destroys persistence. The belief in discipline guarantees it. Your shift today. Stop calling winners lucky. Stop excusing your drift by blaming fate. Stop treating results like dice rolls. Instead, adopt the mindset of the 20%. Tell yourself, if I stay disciplined long enough, the outcome is inevitable. Because once you see the illusion of luck for what it is, you can never again hide behind it. Results are not random. They are coded. And the code is discipline. Talent is flashy. Opportunity feels exciting. Luck makes headlines. But none of them can compete with discipline. Because talent without discipline collapses. Opportunity without discipline evaporates. Even luck without discipline turns into wasted potential. Discipline is the variable that makes results predictable. Why talent is overrated. Look at the graveyard of wasted talent. The athlete who had the gift but never trained consistently. The student who was brilliant but never built study habits. The artist who had raw creativity but never produced daily. Talent opens the door, but without discipline, you never walk through it. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards persistence. Why opportunity isn't enough. Opportunities come and go every day. Most people miss them, not because the doors weren't there, but because they weren't disciplined enough to walk through them. You can't seize an opportunity for leadership if you never practice discipline in private. You can't capture financial opportunities if you've never disciplined your spending and saving. You can't ride momentum if you don't already have the habit of showing up prepared. Opportunity rewards the prepared. And preparation is another word for discipline. Luck without discipline fails. Sometimes luck does strike. A video goes viral, a chance meeting happens, a breakthrough opportunity appears. But without discipline, luck fades as quickly as it arrived. The viral creator who never built a system disappears after one hit. The startup that got funding collapses because habits weren't there. The athlete who had a lucky break vanishes because training wasn't consistent. Luck without discipline is noise. Discipline without luck still compounds into results. Napoleon Hill's insight. Hill said, "You can't control the external world, but you can control yourself. That control, practiced daily, is the key to all achievement. That control is discipline. It's the one variable you always own, the one constant that makes your outcomes predictable, no matter what chaos surrounds you." The 80% gamble versus the 20% guarantee. The 80% gamble on talent, wait for opportunity, and pray for luck. Their results are unstable. The 20% bet on discipline. They know that if they execute daily, results are guaranteed. That's why the 20% seem unstoppable. It's not because life favors them, it's because they've disciplined themselves into predictability. Macro-micro reliability. At the macro level, discipline builds a life of inevitable progress. At the micro level, it looks boring. Waking up at the same time. Training when you don't feel like it. Writing another page. Logging another rep. Boring in the moment. Brilliant in the outcome. Your shift today. Stop overvaluing talent. Stop waiting for opportunities. Stop wishing for luck. Start valuing discipline as the only variable that matters. Tell yourself, if I stay disciplined, the result is guaranteed. If I drift, the result is random. Because discipline doesn't ask for luck, it creates inevitability. Discipline is the spark. But sparks fade unless they ignite something bigger. That bigger thing is habit. Discipline forces you to act the first time, the second time, maybe even the 10th time. But once repetition locks in, the habit takes over and action becomes automatic. That's when results stop depending on willpower and start depending on code. The birth of habits. Every habit begins as a discipline choice. The first time you wake up early, it's pure discipline, you fight the urge to stay in bed. The first time you save instead of spend, it's discipline, you resist impulse. The first time you train while tired, it's discipline, you push against comfort. But after enough repetitions, discipline doesn't feel heavy anymore. The action becomes familiar. The pattern embeds into your subconscious. The habit is born. Why habits matter? Habits are the automation of discipline. Discipline is you pushing. Habits are the system pulling. Once habits are installed, you no longer debate. You no longer bargain. You simply act, as naturally as breathing. Napoleon Hill wrote, "Any idea, plan, or purpose may be placed in the mind through repetition of thought." Habits are repetition incarnate. They're the grooves you carve into your mind until success flows without friction. The 80% trap, stopping too soon. Most people never reach the habit stage. They rely on discipline for a few days, then quit when it feels hard. They never repeat long enough to engrave the pattern. They treat discipline like punishment instead of investment. So their results collapse. They say discipline doesn't work, when the truth is they quit before discipline could evolve into habit. The 20% path, turning discipline into habit. The successful minority see discipline differently. They know every act of discipline is a brick. They know stacking bricks builds a wall. They know once the wall is built, it stands on its own. For them, discipline is just the bridge to habits. And once the habits are installed, the wall of results cannot be torn down. How to convert discipline into habits? 1. Choose keystone actions. Focus on the few disciplines that, once habitual, change everything, like daily training, saving, or creating. 2. Repeat without excuse. Repetition is the mother of habit. No breaks, no negotiations. 3. Track the streak. Every checkmark builds momentum. Streaks reinforce identity. 4. Let identity catch up. Once you say, "I don't try to work out, I am someone who trains," the habit is locked. Macro-micro automation. At the macro level, habits create destiny. At the micro level, they are small, repeatable actions that feel boring in the moment. 1 rep. 1 page. 1 deposit. But when repeated enough, those boring acts automate your future. Your shift today. Stop expecting discipline to feel easy. Stop quitting before habits form. Stop relying on willpower for life. Instead, use discipline as the spark, repetition as the fuel, and habit as the engine. Because when discipline becomes habit, action becomes automatic. And when action is automatic, results are inevitable. Most people treat success as a mystery. They think results are random, unpredictable, a lottery ticket only a few are lucky enough to win. But the truth is simple, results are math. If you repeat the right inputs long enough, the outcome is guaranteed. Habits are that formula. Discipline is the constant that feeds it. Together, they make your future predictable, not maybe, not hopefully, but mathematically inevitable. Why people think life is random? The 80% look at their own lives and see chaos. They're productive for 1 week, lazy the next. They stick to routines for a month, then abandon them. They rely on moods and motivation, which rise and crash like waves. And because their actions are inconsistent, their results look inconsistent. Chaos in, chaos out. So they tell themselves life is random. But randomness is just the mask of inconsistency. Why the 20% see predictability? The disciplined minority operate differently. They repeat the same actions daily, whether inspired or not. They install habits that compound training, saving, creating, learning. They trust the formula, even when results aren't visible yet. They know that if you run the code long enough, the outcome has no choice but to appear. Napoleon Hill's perspective. Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief isn't magic. Belief becomes real when disciplined actions repeat until habits engrave identity. That's when outcomes stop being dreams and start being math." How habits make life predictable. Consistency creates compounding. Daily actions may look small, but over years, they multiply like interest. Repetition shapes identity. What you do daily rewires who you are. Identity locks in results. Systems override emotion. Habits execute regardless of how you feel. Emotion stops mattering, inputs stay constant. This is why results are no longer fragile once habits take over. Examples of predictable math. Fitness, train 5 days a week, eat clean daily. Predictable result, strength and energy. Wealth, save and invest a percentage of income monthly. Predictable result, financial growth. Skill, practice deliberately every day. Predictable result, mastery over time. It's not random. It's not luck. It's a formula. The 80% trap versus the 20% path. The 80% chase quick wins, stop when results don't show instantly, and call life unfair. The 20% repeat boring, consistent habits until the compounding becomes visible. One path looks chaotic. The other looks inevitable. Macro-micro predictability. At the macro level, predictability looks like destiny, your future unfolding exactly as coded. At the micro level, it looks boring, one action repeated today, tomorrow, the next day. But zoom out, and boring repetition becomes extraordinary results. Your shift today. Stop calling life random. Stop waiting for luck. Stop pretending your results are out of your control. Start running the formula. Start stacking repetitions. Start trusting habits to deliver outcomes as reliably as math. Because results are not random. They are predictable. And the core code of discipline makes them inevitable. Everyone dreams of the big breakthrough. The overnight success. The dramatic transformation that flips life upside down in a single moment. But here's the truth, breakthroughs are never big at the start. They are built brick by brick, through small wins stacked daily until the weight of repetition cracks the wall of resistance. The myth of the big leap. The 80% believe change comes from grand gestures. They overhaul their life with extreme diets. They launch huge goals they can't sustain. They sprint with intensity, then collapse in exhaustion. They despise small beginnings. They crave fireworks. And that's why they burn out before the results ever appear. The 20% trust small wins. The disciplined minority understands something radical. Small wins compound into big results. 1 page a day becomes a book. 1 workout a day becomes strength. $1 a day becomes wealth. Each small win feels trivial in the moment, but stacked over weeks, months, years, it becomes unstoppable momentum. Napoleon Hill explained it this way. Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. Why small wins work? They build momentum. A single action creates energy. Energy fuels the next action. Momentum becomes a chain that resists breaking. They shape identity. Each repetition is a vote. Each small win says, I am disciplined. I am consistent. I finish. Identity hardens with every small success. They are sustainable. Big leaps drain you. Small wins energize you. Small wins can be sustained for a lifetime. The 80% trap, despising the small. The majority dismiss micro progress. They say, 1 workout won't matter. They say, $1 saved is useless. They say, 1 page doesn't make a book. And because they despise the small, they never reach the big. The 20% path, protecting the chain. The winners obsess over consistency. They track every win. They celebrate every streak. They guard their chain of small victories like treasure. Because they know if they protect today's win, tomorrow's is easier. And if tomorrow comes, the future is already guaranteed. How to engineer small wins. 1. Lower the bar. Make the first step so small it feels impossible to fail. 1 rep, 1 sentence, 1 deposit. 2. Anchor it. Attach the win to something you already do. After coffee, journal. After brushing teeth, stretch. 3. Track it. Mark the streak. Count the days. Build visible proof. 4. Celebrate it. Treat every completion as a victory. Reinforce the code with pride. Macro-micro compounding. At the macro level, small wins create revolutions. At the micro level, they look boring, tiny, repeatable actions. But zoom out far enough, and you see that entire empires of success were built from nothing more than stacked small wins. Your shift today. Stop waiting for the big leap. Stop despising small beginnings. Stop ignoring the power of one tiny action today. Instead, embrace the micro. Build small wins daily. Protect them. Stack them until they become unstoppable momentum. Because success doesn't come from one explosion of effort. It comes from small wins, repeated until the walls of resistance break. Everyone wants to go fast. They want instant results, instant rewards, instant transformation. That's why they sprint hard for a week, burn out, and collapse before the finish line. But success doesn't go to the fastest starter. It goes to the longest finisher. Endurance beats speed every time. The addiction to speed. The 80% are obsessed with quick wins. They try crash diets for 7 days. They chase overnight business schemes. They binge new routines with intensity, only to abandon them when the excitement fades. Their rhythm is unsustainable. They treat success like a sprint, and that's why they never reach the marathon's end. The power of persistence. The 20% think differently. They understand it's not about speed, it's about stamina. They'd rather do 30 minutes daily for a year than 3 hours for a week. They'd rather save consistently for decades than gamble once. They'd rather keep moving slowly than stop entirely. Because persistence compounds. Small, repeated actions over time always outperform intense but inconsistent bursts. Napoleon Hill's wisdom. Hill captured this truth perfectly. There is no substitute for persistence. The person who makes persistence his watchword discovers that old man failure finally becomes tired and makes his departure. Persistence doesn't just move you forward, it exhausts failure until it quits before you do. Why persistence wins over speed. Habits need time to solidify. Repetition carves grooves into your subconscious. Persistence deepens the grooves until habits become unbreakable. Results need time to compound. The math of success is invisible at first. Endurance ensures you live long enough to see the harvest. Obstacles require staying power. Everyone can start when things are easy. Only persistence survives when life pushes back. The 80% trap, burnout. The majority burn out because they sprint. They expect big results instantly. They quit when change feels too slow. They abandon routines at the first plateau. By chasing speed, they sabotage themselves. The 20% advantage, rhythm over rush. The disciplined minority protect their rhythm. They create routines they can sustain forever. They pace themselves so discipline doesn't collapse. They measure progress in years, not days. Because they know that speed excites the crowd, but endurance builds the legend. How to install persistence into your code. 1. Shrink the habit. Make it small enough to repeat daily, no matter what. 2. Track streaks, not intensity. Celebrate how long you've lasted, not how fast you went. 3. Redefine success as continuity. If you showed up today, you won. Show up again tomorrow. 4. Identity first. Tell yourself, I am someone who persists. I outlast. Macro-micro endurance. At the macro level, persistence builds unstoppable momentum. At the micro level, it's just one choice: show up today. That's all persistence is: today, then tomorrow, then the day after. Your shift today. Stop asking, how fast can I get there? Start asking, how long can I last? Because speed fades, but persistence compounds. And when you persist, success eventually runs out of ways to resist you. Most people collapse when adversity hits. They see resistance as proof they should stop, obstacles as evidence they're not capable, setbacks as signs their dream is impossible. But the truth is the opposite: resistance is not your enemy, it's your gym. Every pushback is a weight. Every obstacle is a rep, every failure is a chance to grow stronger. The 80% response to resistance. The majority interpret resistance as rejection. One rejection letter, and they stop writing. One failed launch, and they abandon their vision. One tough day, and they convince themselves they just don't have it. They treat adversity as a final verdict instead of a training session. That's why their discipline stays weak: it's never tested, never strengthened, never proven. The 20% response: resistance equals repetition. The disciplined minority see resistance differently. A rejection is not a dead end, it's feedback. A failed launch is not the end, it's iteration. A tough day is not proof of weakness, it's a rep in the mental gym. Every time life pushes against them, they push back harder. That push and pull is how discipline becomes steel. Napoleon Hill's reminder. Hill wrote, "Every adversity, every failure, every heartache carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit." The seed is always there. But only those who persist long enough, who embrace resistance as training, ever harvest it. Why resistance strengthens discipline. It exposes weak points. Resistance reveals where your code is fragile. Without adversity, you'd never see your blind spots. It builds endurance. Just like muscles grow from tension, discipline grows from repeated pressure. It reinforces identity. Each time you overcome resistance, you prove to yourself, I am not fragile. I persist. The 80% trap: seeking comfort. The majority design their lives to avoid discomfort. They avoid risks. They escape challenges. They hide from pain. And because of that, their discipline never matures. Comfort breeds weakness. The 20% path: embracing discomfort. The minority seek out resistance. They lean into challenges. They welcome setbacks as feedback. They embrace pain as proof of progress. They know that every rep of resistance is carving a deeper groove of discipline into their character. How to turn resistance into training. 1. Reframe instantly. When adversity hits, don't ask why me? Ask, what is this building in me? 2. Shrink the battle. Focus only on the next step. Overcome resistance one rep at a time. 3. Record victories. Every time you push through, mark it. Build visible proof of resilience. 4. Celebrate resistance. Treat adversity as validation: if it's hard, it's worth it. Macro-micro discipline. At the macro level, resistance seasons shape legends. At the micro level, resistance is just another day of showing up despite the pain. One rep at a time. One pushback at a time. One victory at a time. Your shift today. Stop treating resistance as punishment. Stop collapsing when life pushes against you. Stop thinking obstacles mean stop. Instead, declare, resistance is my gym. Adversity is my training ground. Every setback is building my code. Because once resistance strengthens your discipline, results are no longer fragile, they're forged in fire. You can force discipline for a while with sheer willpower. You can push yourself through discomfort for days, maybe weeks. But if you want results that last for years, results that feel inevitable, you must engrave discipline into your subconscious mind. Because the subconscious doesn't ask. It doesn't negotiate. It simply runs the code it's been given. And once discipline becomes subconscious, your actions shift from effortful to automatic. Why the subconscious matters. Your subconscious controls almost everything you do. You don't consciously think about tying your shoes, you just do it. You don't analyze each step when walking, you simply move. You don't remind yourself to breathe, it happens naturally. Imagine if executing discipline felt as natural as breathing. Imagine if saving money, training daily, or creating consistently required no inner fight, no hesitation. That's the power of subconscious programming. Napoleon Hill's wisdom. Hill explained it clearly. The subconscious mind makes no distinction between constructive and destructive thought impulses. It works with the material we feed it. This means you are already programming yourself, whether you realize it or not. The only question is, are you feeding your mind discipline or excuses? The 80% problem, negative programming. Most people sabotage themselves unconsciously. They repeat excuses until they feel true. They replay failures until they become identity. They reinforce weakness every time they quit. The subconscious accepts all of it and runs it on autopilot. That's why so many feel stuck, they've installed the wrong code. The 20% solution, deliberate programming. The disciplined minority program their subconscious intentionally. They repeat affirmations until belief hardens. They visualize their discipline daily until the mind treats it as real. They act consistently until the subconscious accepts, this is who I am. For them, discipline stops being something they do and becomes something they are. How to program discipline into your subconscious. 1. Affirm with emotion. Say it daily, I am disciplined. I do what I say I will do. Speak with intensity. Emotion engraves the message deeper. 2. Visualize in detail. Close your eyes and see yourself executing the habit. Imagine the sights, sounds, and feelings. The brain codes imagined experiences almost like real ones. 3. Repeat relentlessly. Morning and night, feed the same message. The subconscious accepts what is repeated with consistency. 4. Reinforce with action. Words alone are fragile. Each time you follow through, you provide evidence that engraves the code further. The feedback loop. Discipline starts as conscious effort. Repetition engraves it into the subconscious. The subconscious automates it as identity. Identity sustains discipline without effort. This loop transforms fragile willpower into permanent code. The 80% versus the 20%. The 80% let their subconscious run corrupted code, excuses, fear, drift. The 20% deliberately install discipline until the subconscious makes success automatic. Macro-micro subconscious programming. At the macro level, subconscious programming rewires destiny. At the micro level, it's just words repeated, images rehearsed, actions logged. Small inputs, compounded daily, create unshakable identity. Your shift today. Stop letting your subconscious run random input. Stop feeding it weakness disguised as truth. Stop living as a slave to corrupted code. Instead, program discipline into your mind deliberately. Repeat it. Visualize it. Reinforce it with action. Because once your subconscious runs discipline on autopilot, results stop being effortful. They become inevitable. You can speak affirmations. You can visualize. You can even act disciplined for a while. But without evidence, your subconscious will fight you. It will whisper, you're not consistent. You always quit. This won't last. That's why tracking matters. Tracking builds proof. Proof silences doubt. Evidence locks the code. Why evidence matters. Your brain is always looking for confirmation of identity. If you say, I am disciplined, but you have no record, your mind rejects it. If you say, I follow through, but you can't prove it, your subconscious calls you a liar. If you say, I'm consistent, but you quit often, you reinforce the opposite identity. Evidence makes identity real. And when identity hardens, action becomes automatic. The 80% problem, blind effort. Most people live without tracking. They try to exercise, but they don't log sessions. They try to save, but they don't count deposits. They try to study, but they never measure time. Because they don't measure, they don't see progress. Because they don't see progress, they feel stuck. And when they feel stuck, they quit. It's not that they failed, it's that they erased their own proof. The 20% advantage, relentless tracking. The disciplined minority know the truth: what gets measured gets mastered. They count every rep. They log every dollar. They track every streak. And because they see progress, they believe progress. Belief fuels persistence. Persistence multiplies results. This creates a feedback loop: action, evidence, belief, more action. Napoleon Hill's reminder. Hill wrote, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief doesn't appear out of thin air. It's fed by proof. Tracking creates the proof your mind needs to believe, and once you believe, you act with certainty." How to build the tracking habit. 1. Pick clear metrics. Don't say, "I'll be healthier." Track workouts, meals, or weight. Don't say, "I'll be productive." Track words written, hours studied, or tasks completed. 2. Log daily. Tracking once in a while weakens the loop. Daily entries lock the code tighter. 3. Celebrate streaks, not just results. Don't just cheer when you hit a milestone. Cheer when you complete another day in the chain. 4. Review weekly. At the end of each week, look at the evidence. Let the data tell your story of discipline. The 80% versus the 20%. The 80% depend on feelings. If they don't feel progress, they stop. The 20% depend on proof. If the log shows progress, they persist. That's why the 80% drift and the 20% compound. Macro-micro tracking. At the macro level, tracking builds an autobiography of discipline. At the micro level, it's just a check mark today. One mark doesn't look like much. But years of marks become undeniable evidence that rewrites identity forever. Your shift today. Stop trusting feelings. Stop living blind. Stop letting your subconscious erase progress. Instead, track. Log. Record. Build evidence so strong that your mind cannot deny your discipline anymore. Because once the proof stacks, the identity locks. And when identity locks, action is no longer fragile, it's inevitable. You can build discipline alone. You can track your own progress. You can even persist through obstacles by yourself. But if you want to make your discipline unbreakable, you need leverage that's bigger than your willpower: community and accountability. Napoleon Hill called this the mastermind principle, the idea that no person reaches greatness in isolation. Every legendary achievement was amplified by allies, by accountability, by a circle that refused to let discipline collapse. The 80% hide in silence. The majority keep their goals private. They don't tell anyone they're trying to change. They keep progress in the dark. They drift quietly, so quitting carries no cost. But here's the problem: silence protects excuses. When no one knows, it's easy to hide, easy to drift, easy to quit. The 20% expose themselves. The disciplined minority do the opposite. They declare their commitments out loud. They invite accountability. They build alliances with people who won't let them escape. They join groups of disciplined peers. They partner with accountability buddies. They raise the cost of quitting so high that persistence becomes the only option. For them, accountability isn't weakness, it's leverage. Napoleon Hill on the mastermind. Hill wrote, "No two minds ever come together without, thereby, creating a third, invisible intangible force, which may be likened to a third mind. That invisible force is accountability. When your discipline joins with others, the energy multiplies. Their persistence fuels yours. Their belief reinforces yours. Their execution inspires yours. Why accountability works? It raises the stakes. When others know your commitments, failure carries weight. It removes excuses. The lies you tell yourself won't survive in front of someone who expects the truth. It creates momentum. Shared progress multiplies energy. Collective wins keep everyone moving forward. It builds standards. In the right community, discipline is the norm, not the exception. The 80% versus the 20%. The 80% surround themselves with people who normalize excuses. The 20% surround themselves with people who normalize execution. That one choice determines the strength of their discipline. How to build accountability into your code. 1. Declare publicly. Announce your goals. When others know, the stakes rise. 2. Build alliances. Find disciplined partners. Share logs. Check in daily or weekly. 3. Add consequences. Tie failure to pain, financial penalties, lost privileges, or public embarrassment. Pain enforces persistence. 4. Celebrate together. Accountability isn't just pressure, it's encouragement. Shared pride builds long-term momentum. Macro-micro accountability. At the macro level, accountability builds culture. At the micro level, it looks like one message, one call, one shared log. Small interactions, compounded daily, amplify discipline until habits are unshakable. Your shift today. Stop hiding. Stop protecting your excuses with silence. Stop trying to build unbreakable discipline alone. Instead, declare. Build alliances. Raise the cost of quitting until it's no longer an option. Because when accountability multiplies your discipline, results stop being fragile, they become inevitable. You are not just shaped by your willpower. You are shaped by the space you live in. Most people fail, not because they don't want discipline, but because their environment is coded against them. Their surroundings whisper distraction, tempt drift, and sabotage consistency. If you want discipline that holds, you must design an environment that enforces it. The 80% environment, built for drift. Look around at the average person's environment. Phones buzzing with endless notifications. Desks piled with clutter. Kitchens stocked with junk food. Bedrooms that look like entertainment centers, not places of rest. And then they wonder why focus is impossible, why discipline collapses, why habits never stick. The truth is simple, their environment is programmed for failure. The 20% environment, engineered for discipline. The disciplined minority take control of their surroundings. They keep gym clothes ready the night before. They put books on the desk and hide the phone in a drawer. They stock the kitchen with clean fuel, not sabotage. They create workspaces with single-purpose clarity, work here, rest there, train there. They don't fight their environment, they design it to fight for them. Napoleon Hill's reminder. Hill wrote, "The subconscious mind makes no distinction between constructive and destructive thought impulses. It works with the material we feed it. Your environment is constant input. Clutter feeds confusion. Distraction feeds drift. Order feeds discipline. Purposeful design feeds persistence. What you see, you become." Why environment shapes discipline? It removes friction. If the right choice is the easy choice, you'll take it. It blocks temptation. If the wrong choice is hard to access, it dies. It provides triggers. Visual cues remind your subconscious what to do. It reinforces identity. When your space reflects order, you reinforce the belief, I am disciplined. The 80% trap versus the 20% path. The 80% expect willpower to overpower distraction in a hostile environment. The 20% design an environment so supportive that willpower isn't even necessary. How to reprogram your environment. 1. Make good habits frictionless. Put tools in plain sight, journal on your desk, water by your bed, shoes by the door. 2. Make bad habits impossible. Delete the apps. Throw out the junk. Remove temptations before they trigger. 3. Design for purpose. Don't blur boundaries. Work where you work, sleep where you sleep, train where you train. 4. Reset daily. Each night, prepare tomorrow's environment. Success begins before the morning arrives. Macro-micro environment design. At the macro level, your environment predicts your destiny. At the micro level, it's just moving one object, clearing one space, hiding one distraction. But over time, those small design choices harden into unbreakable patterns of discipline. Your shift today. Stop expecting discipline to survive in chaos. Stop blaming yourself for drifting when your environment is programmed against you. Stop fighting uphill battles in rooms built for distraction. Instead, build spaces that align with your code. Make the right choice the easy choice. Make the wrong choice the impossible choice. Because when your environment enforces discipline, results are no longer fragile, they're guaranteed. Discipline alone is powerful. Habits alone are transformative. Environment alone can shape behavior. Accountability alone can amplify execution. But the real breakthrough comes when you stop treating these forces as separate and start combining them into one integrated system. That's when discipline stops being fragile and becomes unbreakable. That's when results stop being uncertain and become inevitable. The 80% lie fragmented. Most people dabble. They try to be disciplined without building habits. They try to create habits but live in distracting environments. They design a good environment but have no accountability. Their system is incomplete, so their progress is inconsistent. They wonder why results don't stick, yet their code was never whole. The 20% build systems. The disciplined minority take a different approach. They weave every part together into a closed loop. Discipline sparks action. Habits make action automatic. Environment reinforces action. Accountability amplifies persistence. Each element strengthens the others. No piece carries all the weight because the system carries itself. Napoleon Hill's parallel. Hill described the mastermind alliance, the force created when multiple minds align. He said, "When a group of individual brains are coordinated and function in harmony, the increased energy created becomes available to every individual brain in the group." The same is true for your discipline. When you coordinate habits, environment, accountability, and persistence, you generate more energy than any single part could produce alone. How integration works. 1. Discipline habits. Discipline forces the first repetitions. Enough reps create automatic habits. 2. Habits environment. Habits reshape your space. Writing daily makes your desk sacred. Training daily makes your shoes a trigger. 3. Environment accountability. Your visible progress invites community support. Others see your order and expect consistency. 4. Accountability discipline. Knowing someone is watching pushes you to show up, even when you feel weak. The cycle closes. Each part feeds the others. The system reinforces itself. The 80% versus the 20%. The 80% live fragmented lives. Their half-built systems collapse. The 20% integrate every part into a fortress. Their code sustains itself, even when motivation dies. Macro-micro integration. At the macro level, integration guarantees destiny. At the micro level, integration looks simple. Shoes by the bed, environment. Workout logged with a friend, accountability. Training at the set time daily, discipline. Repeat until it's automatic, habit. One choice triggers the entire system. Why integration guarantees results? Because once your system is integrated, failure feels unnatural. Excuses lose oxygen. Drift feels impossible. You don't fight uphill anymore, the slope tilts in your favor. The system runs even when you feel weak. Your shift today. Stop dabbling. Stop building fragments. Stop expecting partial codes to deliver full results. Instead, integrate. Build a system where every part reinforces the others. Let discipline, habits, environment, and accountability fuse into one unbreakable code. Because when the core code is integrated, results are no longer a possibility. They are destiny. You've walked through the core code. And now you know the truth, results were never random. They were always coded. The 80% live as drifters. They hope. They wait. They excuse. The 20% live as coders. They discipline. They persist. They integrate. The difference is identity. From hope to inevitability. Hope says, maybe someday I'll succeed. Discipline says, success is not someday, it's inevitable. Hope says, I wish I could change. Discipline says, I am changing daily through action. Hope says, it's out of my hands. Discipline says, I run the code. My results are mine. The core code rewrites your identity. You are no longer a drifter waiting for luck. You are a builder installing systems. Napoleon Hill's reminder. Hill wrote, you are where you are because of your habits. You may change where you are by changing your habits. This isn't philosophy, it's mechanics. Change the code, and you change the outcome. No exceptions. No randomness. Your future rewritten. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. You don't hope for health, you've coded it through daily training. You don't wish for wealth, you've coded it through discipline, saving, and investing. You don't pray for purpose, you've coded it through consistent creation and learning. The randomness is gone. Life is predictable, reliable, inevitable. Because you installed the core code of discipline. The final shift. You stop asking, will this work for me? You start declaring, it must work for me because I run the code. You stop saying, I hope I succeed. You start saying, I am disciplined, and my results are inevitable. Your identity has shifted. You no longer live as someone waiting for chance. You live as someone coding destiny. Your call to action. Now it's your turn. Fire comment below. Which part of the core code will you install first? Discipline, habits, environment, or accountability? Speech balloon, declare it. Lock it in. Put your identity into words. If this message hit you, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone still trapped in hope. Because most people will keep drifting. But not you. You've seen the truth. You've seen the core code. And from this moment on, your results are no longer random, they are guaranteed.